Dementia is not a single disease. It is an umbrella term for a range of neurological conditions that affect the brain's ability to function. It is a progressive decline in cognitive function that interferes with daily life, going far beyond the typical forgetfulness associated with aging. While many people believe dementia is just about memory loss, it actually impacts everything from language and reasoning to spatial perception and emotional regulation. At its core, dementia occurs when nerve cells, or neurons, in the brain stop working, lose connections with other cells, and eventually die. Because the brain controls every aspect of our existence, the death of these cells leads to the gradual loss of the person we once knew. The most common form of dementia is Alzheimer's disease, accounting for 60 to 80% of all cases. Other types include vascular dementia, which is caused by microscopic bleeding and blood vessel blockage in the brain, Lewy body dementia, characterized by abnormal protein deposits, and frontotemporal dementia, which often leads to drastic changes in personality and behavior. Although these conditions have different triggers, they all share a common path of biological destruction. The appearance of dementia is usually rooted in the abnormal buildup of specific proteins. In Alzheimer's, for instance, proteins called amyloid and tau form plaques and tangles that act like clogging in the brain's communication system, preventing neurons from sending the electrical and chemical signals necessary for thought and movement. The onset of dementia is often silent and invisible, beginning years or even decades before the first symptom appears. It starts in specific regions of the brain, such as the hippocampus, which is responsible for forming new memories. As the biological damage spreads, the symptoms become more apparent. A person might start losing their way in familiar neighborhoods, forgetting the names of loved ones, or struggling to perform basic tasks like cooking a meal or managing finances. What makes dementia so devastating is its progressive nature. Once the neurons are lost, the brain physically shrinks in a process known as cerebral atrophy. This physical transformation of the brain is what drives the profound changes in a person's ability to interact with the world around them. Recent scientific breakthroughs in 2025 and 2026 have shifted our understanding of dementia from an inevitable decline to a manageable, and in some cases, preventable condition. New research published in the Lancet Commission now suggests that up to 45% of dementia cases globally could be delayed or even prevented by addressing 14 specific modifiable risk factors. While we previously focused on high blood pressure, smoking, and hearing loss, scientists have recently added untreated vision loss and high LDL cholesterol, often called bad cholesterol, to the list of primary triggers. These studies emphasize that brain health is not just about the brain itself, but about the lifelong maintenance of our cardiovascular and sensory systems. In the realm of diagnostics, 2025 marked a historic turning point with the FDA approval of high-accuracy blood tests for Alzheimer's disease. These tests measure specific biomarkers, such as p-tau 217, which can detect the presence of toxic amyloid and tau proteins in the brain with over 90% accuracy. This technology allows doctors to identify the disease years before physical symptoms even appear, moving us away from invasive spinal taps and expensive PET scans. Furthermore, researchers at the Mayo Clinic have recently identified key DNA changes, small chemical tags called methylation, that affect how brain cells called oligodendrocytes maintain the protective myelin coating around neurons. This discovery suggests that dementia isn't just a failure of nerve cells, but a breakdown of the brain's internal wiring and insulation. The landscape of treatment is also undergoing a radical transformation in 2026. Beyond the initial wave of anti-amyloid infusions, a new generation of brain shuttle drugs like trontinemab is showing the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier more efficiently, clearing nearly all measurable plaques in clinical trial participants in as little as 28 weeks. At the same time, lifestyle intervention trials, such as the U.S. Pointer study, have provided rigorous evidence that intensive physical activity, social engagement, and nutritional changes can actually stabilize cognitive function in high-risk individuals. We are entering an era where dementia is no longer a mystery we fear, but a biological process we are learning to track, intercept, and eventually stop. The third phase of dementia progression moves beyond cognitive decline into the disruption of the body's physical systems. As the damage reaches the motor cortex and the brainstem, the brain begins to lose its ability to coordinate basic movements and involuntary functions. This leads to difficulties with balance, swallowing, and even the regulation of sleep-wake cycles. Modern neurological studies show that in these advanced stages, the brain's metabolic rate drops significantly, as it can no longer efficiently process glucose for energy. The person doesn't just lose memories. The biological operating system that keeps the body functioning begins to fail. However, the most profound area of current research focuses on the neuroinflammation theory. Scientists now believe that dementia is not just a buildup of proteins, but a runaway immune response. Microglia, the brain's resident immune cells, which are supposed to protect us, become overactive and start attacking healthy neurons by mistake. This discovery has opened the door to new therapies targeting the immune system to slow down the brain's aging process. Understanding these mechanisms is the first step toward a future where we can preserve the essence of who we are for much longer than ever before. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to this channel to learn more about health and psychology.